Hello my dear children, I hope you all are doing good. Today in this video, we'll continue with the chapter Coming Home to Delhi. So till now, we know that author feels that Delhi looks most beautiful during the time of dawn and dusk, and her childhood experience when she returns from the holidays from hill station. And also, she gives us a very beautiful brief description of the city and its relevance with the Mughals. So, now today we'll be looking from paragraph 4. At my grandfather's house, the men in my family learned Persian poetry and ate delicate kebabs. The women, though allowed some education, were kept at home for most of the time. When they played tennis, the entire court was cleared so that no one could see them dashing about in flowing saris and tennis shoes. Dashing means throwing something. So they used to throw the balls in flowing sari and tennis shoes. On cold winter evenings, a wood fire was lit in the drawing room where three benches stood in front of the fire. Here, the children, about 2 dozen of us, would sit playing word games. So basically, author lived in a joint family in a grandfather's house. So there at her grandfather's house, all the men in family learned Persian poetry and ate kebabs, whereas women in the house were kept at home for most of the time for managing household chores. They used to play tennis. All the women used to play tennis, and the tennis court was made empty for them so that they can play and no man could see them playing in sari. So during winter evenings in drawing room, wood fire was lit in front of which three benches stood, and around 2 dozens of children sat and played word games. Now look into the next paragraph. Behind the benches was a circle of sofas and a large chair. It was from here that grandfather held court. He loved to lecture his grandchildren on Delhi's history, and his best opportunities came at family picnics. These were held in the winter or during the monsoon season in a well tended garden of a 17th century tomb or a 12th century palace. The entire family would go on the picnic. During my childhood, it never occurred to me that families could come in sizes smaller than 30 people, swelling easily to a few thousand at the mention of a wedding. So, sofas were encircling the benches where the fire was lit, and from there the grandfather used to lecture his grandchildren on history of Delhi. And the best chances he got to lecture his grandchildren was at family picnics. They used to go for the family picnic during monsoon or winter season in a well nursed or well groomed garden of ancient times, and the whole family used to go on the picnic. Author in her childhood could not imagine a family less than 30 people, and due to having larger number of people in a family in weddings, more than 1,000 people gathered. Preparations for the picnic would begin early in the morning. Potatoes in a hot tomato sauce, golden puris, warm moist meatballs, and jars of pickles would be packed, along with fruits in a large basket. Two cars would stand ready, gleaming in the sun. Gleaming means shining. The art of getting 30 people into two cars had long been mastered. The first layer consisted of short ladies and teenagers on their laps, when the second layer, consisting of 10 to 12 years old, the third layer consisted of all those below the age of 10. The tall men sat in the front seat. On their laps sat the 10 to 12-year-olds, holding the baskets and pots that could not be stuffed into the trunk. So, elders would prepare for picnic early in the morning, and large baskets were filled with many eatables like potatoes in a hot tomato sauce, golden puris, warm moist meatballs, and pickles, along with fruits. Outside the house, two cars would stand shining in the sun, ready to move for the picnic. The elders of the house had mastered in adjusting 30 people in layers into two cars. In the first layer, short ladies and teenagers were adjusted, then on their laps. Second layer was adjusted, which consisted of 10 to 12-year-olds. Then again, a third layer was adjusted, which consisted of children below the age of 10. Tall men sat on the front seat on their laps also 10 to 12 years old children sat holding baskets and pots. Reached the gardens of the Qutub Minar, the children would rush to climb the sandstone tower while the picnic was laid out on a large cotton sheet. Once we saw all the food laid out, we would thunder down the hundreds of steps, jostling and competing to get there first. The foods and places of my childhood can still be found in Delhi. Mornings still start in a haze of familiar smoke sent skyward by millions of stoves and cookers. In those early hours, potatoes and peas are combined with ginger, turmeric, and green chilies. Chapatis are cooked over hot fires, buttered and stacked with the vegetables, and a piece of mango pickle in a tiffin carrier to be carried by many people on their way to schools and offices, just as I did on my way to school in Delhi. So after all the 30 peoples were adjusted in two cars, they went for picnic, and as they reached Qutub Minar, all the children in excitement would rush to play and climb sandstone towers. And once they saw food served on the large cotton sheet, they ran down, pushing aside people and competing with each other to reach to the food. Author claims that her childhood foods and places could still be found in Delhi. The morning in Delhi starts with the smoke of stoves and cookers. Early in the morning, in almost every house, vegetable and buttered chapatis cooked over hot fires with a piece of mango pickle was packed in a tiffin carrier to be carried by many people while going to schools and offices. An author too carried the same tiffin on her way to school in Delhi. So, here we have finished the chapter. I hope you all have understood the explanation, but still, if you have any problem, let me know. Thank you.